If your version of self care still leaves you feeling exhausted, irritable, or disconnected, sometimes the problem isn't that you're not doing enough for yourself, it's that you don't know yourself outside of the things that you accomplish. Hello, friends, and welcome back to my channel here at True Reality Life, where we talk about the true realities of the life around us, beautiful, ugly, and everything in between. My name is Amber, this mental health podcast host, and I want to thank you for joining me. Today, we're talking about what it really means to truly love yourself, especially when productivity has become your whole personality. We'll explore why self care sometimes isn't enough and doesn't always feel fulfilling, how growth can turn into pressure, and what it looks like to reconnect with yourself outside of checklists, accomplishments, and constant self improvement. We'll cover some signs to look for that you may be disconnected from yourself, what self love looks like in everyday life, and how learning to be with yourself without fixing or performing can change everything. I want to start this conversation off with a question. When was the last time that you spent genuine time with just yourself without trying to fix anything, without trying to improve anything or get anything done, without any distractions like your phone or TV? Can you remember the last time you've done that? Over the last few episodes, we've been slowly unpacking perfectionism and letting go of control with a focus on consistency versus self compassion. Today's discussion is the unavoidable reality of what naturally comes next once you stop tying your worth to performance. When you take productivity out of the question, you're left having to face who you really are and learn how to love who you see in the mirror. Many of you are doing all of the right things in your lives. Reading all of the books, going to therapy, trying to improve yourself every single day, staying consistent, yet it still doesn't feel like it's enough. You still feel tense, you feel irritable, you're disconnected. And this is because productivity has become your personality. You base your self worth off of what you accomplish. You don't even know who you are without the things that you do. You feel like you're doing everything you're supposed to be doing, yet you still don't feel okay. You still feel like something is off. You don't feel like yourself. You can't enjoy the little things in life. You can't allow yourself to rest. And I didn't fully understand this either until I've faced it in my own life. I know I could honestly say that I haven't spent time with myself without distractions or a checklist in a very long time. If somebody were to ask me to describe myself, the first things I would list off are things that I've accomplished. I'm a nurse manager. I have a podcast. I'm a mother. I love to read and journal and all of these things, which, yes, those are nice, but they're all things that I'm doing. They're not actual personality traits that describe me as a person. And I knew something had to change because in my everyday life, it seemed like my fuse was getting shorter and shorter. I was blowing up at the tiniest things. And it wasn't until I was going to therapy every week, I'm in couples counseling, my family and friends were bringing it up, and even my husband started to question, why are you getting so overwhelmed so quickly, so easily? I could be having a great day and then my daughter throws something and I'm immediately overwhelmed. I have zero tolerance for anything. And part of that is being burnt out, tying my worth to my performance, and trying to exceed my expectations every single day. But being disconnected from yourself as a person in the core causes you to be so dysregulated in your everyday reality. You can't connect in moments of everyday life because you're lost. You don't even know who to stay grounded to. And here I was thinking that I was doing all of the right things. That my therapist, my couples counselor said, Amber, do self care. You need to make more time for yourself. And I was so confused because I said, I am doing self care. I'm reading and I'm journaling and I'm reading all the self help books and I'm trying to exercise and I'm taking baths and reading in the bath and doing all of these things I thought were self care, trying to improve myself, trying to work on myself. But at the end of the day, I still felt empty. No matter how many self help books I read, no matter how much journaling I do, no matter how many lotions I put on or things that I do for myself, I still feel empty. I have nothing to give because I'm not refilling my cup properly. So, in the midst of this, I realized what I had been doing as self care was not working. Something had to change. And I know I can't be the only one facing these challenges every day. So I want you to stay with me as we dive into the solution and how to reconnect with yourself. The key to this is practicing self love in addition to self care, not just checking things off of a checklist. So let's talk about that for a second. If you're like me, you may be doing all the right things, but when was the last time you made time for yourself? Prioritize time for yourself. Set aside time in your busy schedule just to be with yourself. It's been a while, hasn't it? Now, I want to clarify something. Working on yourself does not mean being with yourself. Those are two entirely different things. They can coexist, but they are separate things. This is because we've turned self care into tasks to get done. We've standardized what healing looks like. There's no right or wrong way to heal, yet we keep trying to set expectations for it. We even add expectations to our resting. Oh, we can only rest for this amount of time, and this is what we have to be doing. And why don't we read a book while we rest because we haven't made time for that? So let's define a little bit better the difference between self care and self love and what that looks like. So, self care is more about the actions, the habits, the routines, the consistency that we've been talking about, which self care can be very helpful, but it's very surface level. They're very external factors that we are contributing to our lives that don't require a deeper connection. These self care actions are easy to tie in to performance, to productivity. It's very focused on the outcome of whatever we're doing. So, say you're journaling, do you feel better? You may put lotion on, that makes you feel better, but it's all a temporary fix. It may make you feel good in the moment from the dopamine, but a lot of times that's because you're checking something off of a checklist, and that gives you a sense of accomplishment rather than a genuine connection and love for yourself. So, what is self love then? Self love is more of a relationship with yourself. It's being present and just existing without any pressure to get anything done. It's allowing yourself to simply exist without needing to improve or fix anything. Self love is all about connection, not about results. You can't quantify how connected you are to yourself. It's something you feel, it's not data points. But I do want to bring attention to that self care and self love can coexist and should exist together. Self care without self love often leads to burnout, just like I've experienced and you are probably experiencing right now, because we're doing all of these actions without feeling the connection and actual improvement to ourselves. And a lot of times, the act of trying to fix something, to improve something, gives your mind and your body the idea subconsciously that something is wrong or broken. That gives you the sense that you are not enough already. So that's where the self love component comes in. Self love is what gives your self care actions a deeper meaning and a purpose. That's why so many times when you're doing self care activities, you don't always leave them feeling refreshed because they're not relational. In order to feel that refreshing refilling of your cup, you have to be able to relate to yourself and actually hit a deeper level outside of just this external factor that you're performing something and checking something off of a checklist and getting that dopamine fix for the day. It's so much more than that. It can be so much more rewarding if you dive deeper. So I want you to think about the last thing you did that's considered self care. Did you leave that activity feeling nourished and refreshed? Did you feel like your cup was refilled, like you could go and pour into other people? If you're like me, you've been going through daily life like this, and the answer is no. You're putting in the work, you're putting in the effort, you're putting in the time, and you're not getting the reward of it. You're not getting refilled. You're just giving and giving and giving. No wonder you feel burnt out. And sometimes a lot of us can get by existing like this because we have other people that may be pouring into our cup for us, uplifting us, complimenting us, whatever. But a lot of times there's a lot of us that don't have people like that, that don't have a good support system, who feel alone. And if you're not refilling your cup and you don't have anybody else that is, no wonder you feel so empty. So I want to backtrack a little bit and I want to take a look at some signs that you can look out for in your daily life that might signal that you are disconnected from yourself. If you're experiencing that now, or even you may reconnect with yourself and then forget or get busy in life, and you'll have to consider these signs to look for to continue to reconnect with yourself. That you need to readjust your priorities to put yourself further on the top of your list of priorities. Before I go through these, I want to take a second to get you in the right mindset. I want you to look at these signs in your life with observation. I want you to be aware of them, an observant, a detective of your own life. I don't want judgment attached to these. Merely be aware if they exist in your life. Are you easily irritated and overwhelmed? It doesn't take much to rile you up. Do you have a low tolerance for interruptions or mistakes? That you may be feeling dull or joyless or serious all of the time? I know that was a big one for me. Are you defining yourself by roles or goals or outcomes? Do you feel uncomfortable doing nothing, resting and relaxing? Does that feel uncomfortable for you? Do you find yourself missing a lighter, more carefree version of yourself? Or do you just feel exhausted despite how much work you can put in on yourself? How much self care you've accomplished? You still feel drained. If any or all of these apply to you, I want to invite you to spend some time with yourself, to reconnect with yourself. So, what does that look like in everyday life? I know the difference between self care and self love. I know what signs to look for in my life. I know now that I really need to reconnect with myself and learn to love myself again. But how do I do that? The key point here is shifting your focus from trying to fix something to trying to connect. I want you to picture hanging out with your friends. Do you have an expectation when you go to hang out with your friends? Do you expect to improve something, for them to fix something? If you're just hanging out or spending time with somebody, most of the time, no. You're just going to spend quality time with that person or those people, and you may have even prioritized them and added them onto your calendar, saying, hey, I'm supposed to spend time with or hang out with this person at this time on this day. And that's what you do. You just go and you talk and you spend time with them. Unless the goal is literally to fix or do something, or hey, we need to go XYZ. But most of the time, say you go out to eat with them, you're just having natural conversation, you're getting to know them better. That's what I need from you. That's what I need you to do with yourself. Genuinely, just spend time with yourself. Prioritize spending time with you. Become your own best friend that you want to hang out with. I mean, you're already spending 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with yourself. You might as well get to know and learn to love this person that you can't get away from. You're literally with yourself all the time. Yet, a lot of the times, we're most disconnected from the person we're around all of the time. That's wild. So, let's go through some examples of how you can spend time with yourself and learn to love yourself again. First of all, I want you to prioritize this time with yourself. If you're a planner and you like writing things down, put it on your schedule, even if it's 10 minutes to spend with yourself, 10 minutes for me. And I want you to spend that 10 minutes completely alone with no distractions, just by yourself, no phone, no TV, no music, no anything, just you and your thoughts. And just be an observer. Don't judge yourself. Whatever feelings or thoughts come into your head, just let them. Get to know what naturally comes up for you. Get to know the core version of yourself. I know for me, I even set timers for this, that I'll set a 10-minute timer and I'll set my phone in the other room and I'll just go sit for 10 minutes. And a lot of times, sometimes I even want to go even longer than that because, oh, I'm in the middle of a conversation with myself. Or something else I like to do because I'm a big foodie. I love food. Is even in the past week, I've taken myself on 2 dates, me, myself, and I. And I know some people that's a little uncomfortable. You don't like going out in public or eating by yourself because people may judge you. I personally don't care. But if you're one of those people, maybe get takeout and eat in your car or take it home and eat alone in your room. Just spend some quality time with yourself. And sometimes the act of eating helps us not feel like so antsy of just sitting there doing nothing, but you can still eat and think at the same time. It's not something that's completely distracting you. Another thing that I've started implementing in my life is getting back into my hair and skincare routines. So, yes, at first glance, that's self care. I'm taking care of myself. I'm doing an action, my skincare, my hair care. That's an action. But what makes it self love and connecting with myself is because I take the time to slow down and really look at myself in the mirror as I'm doing these actions. I'm smiling at myself, I'm posing, I'm remembering how beautiful I am. Because sometimes we forget. In the daily lives, we don't make time to look in the mirror. Especially if you're like me and I don't wear makeup. I usually just throw my hair up in a bun. I could care less what I look like. But I've made it an intentional practice to look at myself in the mirror. And even if you don't do a hair and skincare routine, you could even practice looking in the mirror. And I want you to treat yourself like you would a friend. Look in the mirror at yourself and give yourself a compliment. You look good today. Man, your hair looks really on point today. I don't even know if that's a saying anymore, but we're going with it. Man, I really like that shirt you're wearing. Wow, your smile is so beautiful. And just love yourself. Compliment yourself like you would somebody else. Even if it feels a little cheesy at first, I promise you, it rewires your brain in such a beautiful way. Okay, that's so much better. Sorry. And even if you feel weird looking in the mirror for a long time, maybe just practice doing a couple of self affirmations. So I have like an app for self affirmations, which is really awesome, or you can honestly just Google them. Or something I've talked about before is writing sticky notes of self affirmations and sticking them around your house where you'll see them. That's something that's really awesome too. But if you stick them on your mirror and you actually read them out loud to yourself while looking at yourself, it does something beautiful to reconnect and rewire your brain to where even if you don't believe it at first, you will start to believe what you're telling yourself. I am beautiful. I am brave. I am smart. I am kind. And I practice these with my kids too, because you become their inner voice. But that's a whole different conversation for a whole nother day. But practice it with yourself. Practice loving yourself like you would somebody else. Another one that I really like is going for a walk without music or podcasts or anything else. You're just existing with yourself outside, getting some fresh air, but just simply existing, allowing yourself to be with your own thoughts without any distractions. And something to kind of start the conversation with yourself in these moments is ask yourself, what do I enjoy right now? What is something that I would really enjoy doing? And maybe that's what you should do next after you spend some quiet time, that you do what you feel like doing, something that will bring you joy, not something on your checklist, not something that you feel obligated to do, but something you actually want to do. The overall statement here is that loving yourself is learning to spend time with yourself without needing to change anything. Now, I want to take a turn real quick at the end of this video that if you have a relationship with God, I want you to tune into that. I want you to recognize that God has created you in His image, that God has created you to be exactly who you are right now in this moment, to be exactly the person you were 5 minutes ago, 5 years ago, 15 years ago, and who you are going to become in the next 15 years. He has created you to experience the exact things that you have, to be the exact person that you are. He has created you to be perfectly imperfect. And that is something beautiful. That is something to appreciate. He has given you this gift of life. And just think, you are the only version of you in the entire existence of humanity. Out of the billions of people who have ever existed, who will exist, who exist right now, you are the only you. Isn't that something to appreciate? If there were something in this world, an object in this world, that was the only one to exist, how much value, monetary value, but how much value would we tie to that object because of how unique it is? Yet we don't do that for ourselves. We choose to be like everyone else. We try to do surgeries to look like other people. We try to change who we are. We compare ourselves because we want to be more like somebody else. But why would you want to be like somebody else if you are unique and valuable because you are the only one of you? So I want to finish off here by reinforcing that you are not defined by your productivity. You are so much more than the things that you accomplish. The takeaway here is that self care is not enough without self connection and self love. It's all about relationship, not routine. And loving yourself starts by simply existing with yourself, learning to be present with yourself, and getting to know who that looks like. I want you to ask yourself, if you were to strip away every achievement and accomplishment, who would you be? And would you be willing to love that person? That's the whole point. To learn to love who you see in the mirror without having to do anything, by just existing. So if this resonated with you, or if somebody comes to mind that you think this might apply to, I want you to send this to them with the message, you are worthy of love. Now, I want you to take this one step further. I want you to comment down below if you feel comfortable, or simply type it in your phone as a note of one thing that you can do this week to spend time with yourself. I look forward to seeing what you guys come up with. Thank you so much for your love and support. Make sure to subscribe so that we can keep sharing content like this to people who need it most. I love you so much. See you guys next week. Bye.